Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dancing into Brain Health podcast. I am your host, Magda Kaczmarska. The ability of dance to improve the health and well being of people living with Parkinson's disease is increasingly evident. Two of our guests today on the podcast have led research and practice that is shaping this emergent field and understanding. Today, our guest is Dr. Aline Haas, who has not only contributed to shaping this field with extensive research and ongoing practice, but is also moving it into new and very important directions. Dr. Aline Haas is a dance and Pilates practitioner, researcher, an associate professor at the School of Physical Education, Physiotherapy and Dance at the Universidade Federal do Rio Grande do Sul in Porto Alegre, Brazil, and she's also a Global Atlantic Fellow for Equity and Brain Health at the Global Brain Health Institute. Her research interests center dance and health to promote quality of life and well-being for older adults with and without neurological disorders. Her current research projects include evaluation of the effects of dance on elements of health and quality of life in people with Parkinson's. In the last 6 years, she's been leading the community and research project Dança Parkinson at the Universidade Federal do Rio Grande do Sul in Porto Alegre, Brazil. Welcome, Aline. I'm extremely excited for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you, an amazing dance researcher and friend, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm delighted that you're here. And I just wanted to share, just for our listeners, we're recording this on May 27th in 2025. So it's the end of May. And we've just had the privilege of being together physically in Lima, Peru for the GBHI, or Global Brain Health Institute annual conference, and the Alzheimer's Association International Conference Satellite Symposium, both big mouthfuls. But Aline was sharing her work, and I shared some of my work, and we shared some of our work together. So I know we'll have a chance, I think, to share a little bit about some of that work today. But there's a lot there for folks to check out. I really honored that you've joined, that you've agreed. I know, first of all, you're very busy. You literally just got back from your trip. But ever since I've met you, I've been so inspired by you. You are an incredibly passionate leader, true force for the field, a glorious and spectacular dancer, driven researcher, very generous mentor, and absolutely dedicated advocate for the dance and health field, and especially on a global scale. And I know we'll talk about that today. Since we've met in Dublin when you were participating in your GBHI fellowship, I've just loved learning about your work, and it's really spanned a lot. You have done research on injury prevention among dancers, which we haven't talked a lot about on this podcast, but it's also incredibly important and surprisingly a fairly recent development, which is unfortunate, but it's delightful that there's people like yourself who are pushing that needle forward. You obviously do incredible research also on illuminating empirical benefits of Pilates exercise, which is also something that there's not a lot of research out there. And then, of course, you're doing this incredibly transformative work on dance and Parkinson's disease, specifically with communities in Brazil. So I'm super excited that our listeners get a chance to meet you and learn about your work today. And I know it's a bit of a tall order, but I wonder if we could start by offering an introduction to you and your work. Maybe if you feel like it would be appropriate to start with what drew you to be interested in this intersection of dance and health.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all the introduction. It's, as I said, I'm happy to be here, happy to talk to your audience and talk about this subject that is important. Dance for health is something that move my work, and I really passionate about this topic. And I think you did an amazing introduce about I am a dancer, a researcher, I am a teacher. Dance since I was 7 years old. I can say that most of my whole life, dance is part of my whole life. This is something that I really, I was in touch when I was young, and since I was young, all of my pathways, my degree, everything in my life, it was dance is like putting me in a way to my work, to my love, to everything. Dance is for me. Dance is like the main reason that brought me here, and and the reason that we met. And I think this is me. Dance is part of my life, and I since I was really young, I am a curious person. I just like to do questions and ask it why and why. And I remember when I started dancing ballet, my teacher said to me, "Do this and that, do this, do that. Your leg is gonna go up, your leg is gonna go down. You need." And I said, "Why? Why I'm gonna do this and that? Why the plie is the first exercise before the tandi or something like?" I am always curious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to do my degree in sports area to just learn a little bit more about anatomy, physiology, and to be a better dance teacher, because I started teaching dance. I don't know if I am proud or not, but I started teaching dance when I was 15 years old. I finished I studied in a private school, and then I finished my 8 years of ballet. And then it's usual in Brazil, like the teacher invite young teenager dancers to just help in the classes and start teaching the youngest and the baby class. And I said, okay, if I'm going to be a teacher, if I'm going to continue working as a teacher, a dance teacher, I need to study more. And I decided to, because in my country, dance undergraduate courses, it was not an usual thing many years ago. And in my state, in the place that I lived, the degree that I said, okay, this is going to help me to understand the body in a perspective, like in a biological perspective, is going to be the sports degree. And I finished this degree. I started to learn, to read a lot about dancers and dancers' injuries. This was many years ago. And the only book I remember that I had access in that time, it's no internet, nothing. It was the book, the name of this book is The Dancer as an Athlete. It was one of the first books that was published in English, but it was one of the first books that I had access to read more about dance, medicine and science, dancers' health. In that time, I was interested much more in dancers as a professional dancer, because I was young and I was a dancer, and I was really interested about how to prevent injury, how to perform better. And I was always interested about the health, how dancers, they can perform better being healthy. But then I moved. I finished my undergrad in Brazil, and then I moved to Spain, and I did my PhD in Spain. I moved to Spain. I lived in Spain for almost 4 years. And when I moved to Spain, I discovered a new area for me, that it was older people. My country, it's considered now an aging country, but 30 years ago, when I moved to Spain, it was not a old country. It was not considering an aging country. And Europe, it was an aging country. And then when I arrived in Spain, I started working with older people in community centers and teaching dance ballroom classes in these community centers. And my grandfathers, they just passed away with 90 something, almost 100 years. And then I had this thing in my life, in my family. And I said, this is maybe could be a good area to work with older adults in community centers, promoting dance with these people. Quick comment. During my whole life, I just like to work with known dancers. I like to work with people that is not a professional dancer, like something that happened with me. I like to work with people that it was not someone that knows how to dance in a professional way. I like to work with people that is like children, not to be like a professional dancer. I did not like to work with this group of people. And then I discovered these older adults. I returned to my country. I started to prepare to be a university teacher. And then I have been working in a field for more than almost 30 years now. And in this field, I started to work in research, and also research about the effects of dance in older people. One of my first community projects inside of the university, it was Dance for Older People. Since then, I just started to work with older people without neurological diseases, and then with neurological diseases. I had a project in dance for people that had a stroke, people for people
Mm.
that had a stroke, and I changed 10 years ago to work with Parkinson's disease. And yeah, this, the life, just because I am a dancer and I know the power of dance for me, and how dance can be powerful, and how
Mm.
dance can promote health. I know for professional dance we are not talking about this, but dance per se, like dance in the way that we move, the way that we connect movement with something that is social, something that is, I can look at your eyes, I can touch you. And I think this kind of, for me, when I dance, I just feel in a place that put me in a place that I just feel really well. And I said, how I can bring this to other people.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is I don't know if I introduced a little bit of myself, but I am a person, I am a mom, I am a dancer, I have a lot of things that I can do, but I think dance is the main reason that I am here. Like, the reason that I just all of my life create my pathways, thinking about dance is guiding me.
Mm. Every time we have a conversation, Aline, I feel so much more synergy with your journey and my own. And I just think it's so beautiful that the universe has brought us together. I very much resonate with two things that you said that really stood out to me. This understanding that we tend to fall into teaching, and this fact that you inherently felt that if I'm going to be responsible for teaching somebody else, then I need to understand the work better. There's this responsibility, which I think I resonate, because I know that that's something that you take very seriously. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
incredible at such a young age, you already had that lens, this kind of central focus. Inquiry and self-education as a way to ensure that what you're doing is responsible, right? Because you're responsible for another person's body and well-being. And then the other thing that I really resonate with is that desire to work with non-professionals. Not to say that isn't worthwhile. I think there's an incredible importance to that, but there is a different way of entering into that work, and it requires a different focus. And I, like you, find that dance is liberating, and I think it's kind of intoxicating to be able to
Mm-hmm.
cultivate environments for other people to discover themselves in that space. It keeps me going. So I'm so grateful to hear these elements of your story. And I hope that we'll have a chance maybe another time to talk about some of these other aspects that you've shared, because I think they're equally important. And they're conversations that I've been having more and more often. That this idea of dance and medicine for other ages as well. But today, I think we're kind of I'm gonna ask us to focus more on your work with dance and Parkinson's, largely because it does align a little bit with some of the more recent conversations on the podcast. And as we know, and I know that you've mentioned this, and I think our audience may be aware that the value and impact of dance for Parkinson's is pretty well known now, which is exciting, right? Quite a few people in the public as well as in academic spaces now recognize that this is a field, that this is actually something that has quite a significant
Mm-hmm.
backing of research. And I actually, in preparing for our interview, I didn't realize how far back the research went. I really became aware of it kind of in the early 2000s with the Mark Morris Dance Group, and they were really pushing the research forward. But I didn't realize that the first study comparing the impact of dance, that they were using dance movement therapy with traditional exercise for people living with Parkinson's disease, was in 1989. So it's actually been a while since this research has been happening. I know that you kind of spoke a little bit about your journey kind of working with older persons, people with stroke and neurological conditions. Can you speak a little bit about what drew you or how you started to work with people living with Parkinson's? Did it just kind of happen, or was there something that kind of set you on that path?
Yeah. Uh, I've started working in the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, Universidade Federal do Rio Grande do Sul, 15 years ago.
Mm,
And when I arrived in this university, my first project, it was with people with stroke.
mm,
And then I offered dance for people with stroke because of a friend. She's still a dancer. She works in a university, but she had a stroke when she was 33 years old.
So
And
young.
she was doing her name is Sylvia Wolf, and she was doing a PhD when she had a stroke, and it was in the middle of the PhD. She was in the middle of her career as a dancer, and she changed the PhD. The PhD, unfortunately, the final thesis is in Portuguese, but she changed the subject of the thesis to write about her own experiences recovering, because she recovered herself dancing. And she had a big stroke. She had a hemorrhagic stroke. She was in the hospital for many months, but she recovered, and she's a person, I can say, she still has some things related to the effects of the stroke, but she totally recovered. The recovery process, it was dancing. And when she finished the PhD, she decided to start the academic career. And because we met when we were young, dancing in the school, I did ballet. We decided, she did a postdoc research with me. She decided to do a postdoc in my university with me. And we said, okay, let's do the postdoc, but let's create a dance for people with stroke. And then you can offer to these people the experience that you had recovering yourself. And then we started this project in the university as a community and research project, because it was part of her postdoc research. And now she's working in a university. She stayed with me in the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul for 3 years. And then she got a place in a university. She's teaching in the Federal University of Santa Maria. That is another federal university in my state here. But when we started this project, we started to do a kind of, we did a research about papers in the area about the effects of dance with people with stroke. And we found the papers that we found, was 2000 and maybe 2011, 2012 or something. We started to found papers about dance for Parkinson's, not in dance for people with stroke. I think still now we did not have so much research about the effects of dance for people with stroke. And then we started reading this. We found Mark Morrison's work in the internet. In that time we had the internet. This is good that we all speak English, and then we found a lot of information in English, a lot of papers that published in 2004. I don't know, as you said, people that publish things in United States. And because she finished the postdoc and she moved to another place, I said, this project is not only my project, this project is our project. I'm gonna start another one. But in that time, a colleague of mine started a project in Nordic walking for Parkinson's in my university. Nordic walking is the one that you use the sticks. And when he started the Nordic walking project, they said, okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start a Dance for Parkinson's project. This is going to be my project. It's not going to be a project related to my friend Sylvia. She's not going to be with me anymore in the university. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change, and then I'm going to offer dance for people with Parkinson's. It was a kind of situation that happened in my university, that my colleague was starting a thing. I think he started 1 or 2 years before the Nordic walking project. And then he said, it's a lot of information that dance is good for Parkinson's. Why not? Why not start a project in Parkinson's disease? And we had a lot of contact in that time with associations, with neurologists, specialists in Parkinson's. We collaborate with them. And we started this big project that include Nordic walking, dance, and deep water exercise in walking. And then it was a huge project that we involved different kind of activities, open to the community, totally free inside of the university. And it was like a research and community project again. but with other colleagues and a group of people involved. And this was the reason that I started the project, because I started reading, and the situation just brought me to this population. And it was part of, as you said, the area that I am interested in working, because I was interested in working with older adults, neurological diseases, and that's it, and happened.
Yeah.
And I know that you were going to ask me about the Brazilian project or something like this, but when I started working with this population, all of the papers that I read, it was about the effects of tango and waltz and Irish dance, and I said, why? Maybe we can just work with our rhythms, our dances in Brazil. Let's work with them using our regional dances, not like working with tango or with waltz or Irish or. And another colleague in Brazil, I think I read one paper in that time. She works in Santa Catarina, it's another state close to my state, and she published a paper about the effects of samba, that is a Brazilian dance with African influences and everything. And I said, let's do it. Let's work with samba. Let's work with forró. That is another Brazilian. And yeah, and then we decided to see the effects of the Brazilian rhythms in this population, not other kind of rhythms.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important. And I was actually segues really beautifully. I wonder, what you think will be, maybe it'll be better to talk about this project first and then talk about why this is so important and some of the recent research we've been doing together with a larger team of colleagues that I think there's some intentionality behind, how we're approaching it. But I was actually wondering, I was going to ask you a little bit about, because I encourage everybody, I think we're going to include in the show notes the links to the Dance and Parkinson's program that you have, so you can follow the videos. You have such great videos on Instagram. So people can actually see, because you really have to see this. Listening is great, but you have to really see dance, experience dance. So I really encourage people to check it out. But I wonder, so I know one of your recent projects is adapting, the Dance for Parkinson's using kind of indigenous Brazilian music and rhythms. And you spoke a little bit about that, about the why you chose to do that. But I wondered if you can kind of set the stage a little bit, and talk about your recent study. What are you studying? What are you hoping? What are your questions that you have brought into this work? What are you hoping to discover through this work? And again, speak a little bit to why this is so important, because I think, yeah, it's really relevant, I think, for the field. Yeah.
I The project that I am working now is connected with the Global Brain Health Institute, the fellowship that I did in Dublin, and the result of a project that I developed there, like based on my previous work and the collaborations that I built. I like to collaborate, and in Brazil we did not have a lot of people working in dance for Parkinson's, but what I did is I connected people in different states in Brazil that I know that is doing this work, and we publish together, we collaborate together. And one important person, her name is Elren Passos Monteiro. She's from Belém do Pará. It's like I live in the south of Brazil and she lives in the north of Brazil. But she moved to the Brazil and she studied in my university. And she's the reason that she was the first person that started with the Nordic walking research. She did a master and the PhD about the effects of Nordic walking in people with Parkinson's. And Elrin, when she brought this to my university, this idea to my colleague Leonardo, that was her supervisor, we started the project in Dance for Parkinson's. But Elrin is from the north, and when she finished the PhD, she got a position in the Federal University of Belém do Pará, that is in the north. And I started to collaborate with Elrin. And in one conversation, we said, why we are not going to maybe measure the effects of Amazonian dances, that Belém do Pará is like is Manaus, is an Amazonian area. There's a lot of indigenous population there. around Brazil, we have a lot of indigenous population, but it's a typical culture in the north of Brazil. Folk dances that are related to the Amazonian, that is a mix in Brazil. All of our culture is a mix of African, indigenous, and European culture. Like all of the music, all of the dances, we just have this kind of mixes. But the dances from the north are related with the North culture, and then we are related to the Amazonian indigenous population with a mix with African people that live there and European people that live there. And with Elring, we started this project about the effects of Amazonian dances. Mm. And when I was doing my fellowship, I've applied for the funding that we receive a funding from the Alzheimer's Association, connected with the GBHI and Alzheimer's International. And it was to just study and compare people from the South. For example, if you are in the United States, you have someone that is in the East and someone that is in the West. I don't know, like totally different, or someone that is in the North and the South. I live in the South, and then area in the North, and then how this culture that is typical in the North, these two groups, one in the South and the other one in the North, how this dance that is typical in the North can affect brain health in the South, or can affect brain health in the North. And when we say brain health, the main outcome of my research is cognition. Cognition and the cognitive domains, language, executive function. And I am measuring some freezing of gait, that is secondary outcomes that's going to help me to understand, because cognition is related also to the motor thing in Parkinson. That is an important symptom. And the same dance, the same protocol, people are doing this protocol in the North and people are doing the same protocol in the South. It's a little bit hard because it's different teachers, but what we did, we recorded videos, and the teachers in the North and in the South, they are trying to use the same sequence, the same exercise, the same playlist. That is a little bit complicated because it's not a medication that you can just like control all of the bias, but we are using the same idea. And people in the North are connected with this culture. People in the South, they did not know so much about this culture. The culture in the South is different. What we saw and what we have now, because we measure feasibility of this protocol, is this protocol feasible for people in the North or in the South? They accept well, is a good acceptability, adherence, and different kind of measurements that is related to a feasibility study. And what we saw, it's the same in the South, in the North. People like the protocol because they are Brazilian. They know, they know that this is a music called lundu, and this is a music that is the name of the music and the name of the rhythm, and carimbó. They know a little bit about singers, and then what we did, during the protocol, we just use we had a little bit of storytelling, and we talk a little bit about it, the legends, because Brazil has a lot of different legends. One legend, for example, is the legend of the dolphin, the pink dolphin. And it's a specific legend from the Amazonian River. This pink dolphin arrived in a village, and then when he arrived, he turned to a beautiful man. And this beautiful man, a lot of women in the village fall in love with this beautiful man. And some of them got pregnant, but got pregnant for the pink dolphin. And it's a kind of legends that, when women, they did not know who is the dad is the pink dolphin that arrived one night, and then I don't know, and we just like use these legends, and then we use the nature to move, like, rivers, and depend of the legend, we connected with a little bit of forest or rivers, and then we published this protocol. We have a publication about the protocol and the details about the protocol. And then now we measure the feasibility. And the feasibility means that both groups accept, both groups did not had adherence, everything that is, they said that they like the classes. We just did a kind of small qualitative assessment also. And both groups, they were okay with the protocol. Is the culturally adapted means that maybe this protocol I can teach in New York and people are gonna like it. I don't know, because it's dance. they like to dance, they like to participate, they feel well.
Yeah.
And we are going to measure the effects of this protocol in the cognitive aspects,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to analyze this data. We still doing the research this year, and we did not have yet the results, but probably next year we are going to have the results. We just run a small statistic with a small group of people, and what we saw, and we are comparing these two dance groups with the south and the north with a Nordic walking. That is
Mm.
a well-known exercise for people with Parkinson's. We know that is good. A lot of people recommend Nordic walking for people with Parkinson's. And what we saw is the dance group in the north had a better, improved more the cognition comparing to the south, dance south.
Mm.
And both groups improved more the cognition comparing to the Nordic walking.
Mm.
And because we measure a delta difference, it's like we have the pre and the post, and then we just one minus the other one, and then you have a difference between here and
Yeah.
here, and means the group from the north improve more, like in a curve, and then the group from the south a little bit here, like the north is here, and the
Yeah.
Nordic walking did not improve, just keep the
Mm.
same. But we are trying to measure more people and have more people in our in our group of people that we still need to work on this year in the project, and maybe next year we are going to have like a specific result to show or to promote or to publish, because we are going to
Yeah.
publish now the feasibility paper, and our plan is to publish also the pilot comparing pre and post. Yeah, this is the project that I am working now
Yeah.
with my students, with my PhD students, because it's not only me. I have a PhD student, I have a master student, I have a group of undergrad students. It's a small group of people, not too much people, but it's 8 people that help me to develop colleagues that I collaborate. These people in the north, my colleague Erin, and another PhD student that he finished the PhD with me, but he's from the north and he's living now in Belém, and we are gonna continuing like measuring people there because of these collaborations.
Mm.
What I'm gonna say is like it's not possible to that I really believe on this. Is not possible to work alone. Alone, we are not gonna do a research alone. We are not gonna do a big project alone. We need people. We need this infrastructure. We need people to help us. It's really hard to do a research alone. I just do research because I have all of the university helping me, the structure of the university, the infrastructure of the university, my students, other researchers that I collaborate. And as you said, I collaborate with you, I collaborate with other Global Brain Health Institute fellows around the world. And I think it's really important to collaborate.
Yeah.
It's not possible to do things alone.
I completely agree with you, and I think you could lead a masterclass in collaboration, and really, I mean, your entire career has been a perfect example of that. Coming back to your study, which is exquisite, and I'm really curious to read the results. I think they're very interesting. I'm curious, obviously I'm thinking like, "Ooh, I wonder like if you compare for adherence, like does participating in something that's really familiar to you end up meaning that you participate more in the class because there's that personal connection and the meaning, and as a result you're more engaged, and maybe that's resulting in some of the higher cognitive benefits. But I'm also can imagine that on the flip side, being exposed to something novel can also do that. So I'm curious if like if you were to do a longitudinal study, if those numbers would level out. So this is my like little brain going off, but I just think it's really brilliant. And even just from that initial, how long has the study been going on so far? So like those results.
The intervention is like we measure them pre, and then we measure them post 3 months. It's
Yeah.
twice a week, 1 hour per week. The dose is like 24 sessions. It's like the doses that a lot of people just like say that is good to see
Yeah.
something, but But again, yeah, I agree with you. Like one of the hypotheses, it was if it's something brand new for you, maybe we are going to improve more the cognition,
Mm,
or because if you were familiar, what's going to happen with you. But maybe what I saw, it's both situations they improved
yeah,
because again, they know that is they like the group, they like to be with other people, the peers, and when they dance, because they are Brazilian, doesn't matter if it's going to be tango or because I also just because now I am doing this specific project that is like we measured them last year in August, and then we remeasure like the post intervention. It was in November, end of November, beginning of December, 3 months later, to improve our number of people in the research. We measure again in the north. We are going to measure again in August because we had a group last year in the north, but we are going to redid it with a new group in the north because we still need people in the north group. In the south group
yeah,
we have a lot of people, but in the north we still need people to improve the power
yeah,
of the of them. And yeah, but it's true, like it's something really, because my point is culturally adapted dance intervention can be better, or doesn't matter because it's dance and all of the elements that dance bring to the group could be good.
yeah,
And are they going to be more motivated if they know the songs or if they don't know the songs?
yeah.
It's a lot of things that we can just put a kind of questions here, like
Yeah.
that nobody answered.
But
Yeah.
it's very, very relevant, very important work. I mean, especially when we're thinking about the fact that dance is a global experience. Because there isn't really any, I think it would be hard pressed to find any culture that doesn't have a dance form or music form that usually end up working together, right? That are really important to their culture and identity. So I think it's really important. But I also wanted to say that, your preliminary research after just 3 months to already have an impact on cognition, I think is really profound. And I'm really excited that you're doing this work, that you're going to publish it, because I think this is really incredible work, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're thinking about something that really has no negative side effects, has only positive side effects. And on top of that, within such a short dosage, you're already able to improve some cognitive domains, which I think is spectacular. And we see this among other researchers from the global north, right? But again, to hear from your work in Brazil, I think this is also really, really relevant. And I think it's also, I'd love to, I think both of the examples that you've offered from the folks in the South and in the North are really relevant. They both tell a very compelling story, right? Kind of illuminating that no matter what, dance is going to be great for you. But when, especially at least in these beginning stages, maybe it's the motivation, maybe it's that connection to the familiarity, or a combination of all of the above that are upping that effect. So this to me seems to indicate that we actually need more culturally adapted dances that are created in collaboration with various communities, right? This is truly important. So this kind of brings me to something which is also still in progress in publication, but and she's not here, but I think we should shout out Raquel Arigani, who's the lead author on this paper. You mentioned Danule, who's another one of your students who's also a lead author on this paper. But we've been working with a global team on an umbrella review that I think it's still in publication, so people will have to wait to read everything. But I think one of the outcomes that we discovered really dovetails with what the work that you're doing. And I wonder if you'd like to share a little bit about that. As the corresponding author, I also give you the discretion to share how much you think we can share and how much we want to keep people on their toes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's as you said, we are collaborating with people, and then we are trying to do research that is not easy to do, especially in Brazil, that we don't have so much funding. I'm lucky that I just received this funding from GBH, Global Brain Health Institute. It's like money in Brazil because I can just exchange dollars to Brazilian reais. But specifically, we decided to collaborate because during my fellowship, we met and then we have things in common. And then we said, okay, let's try to do this umbrella review. That is the review using systematic reviews. That systematic reviews is a review using clinical trials. And then, okay, let's do it. It's like a lot of information maybe for the audience, but it's a specific term that we use in research that we can consider if we just build an umbrella review, and then it's like a good evidence that dance can be used for people with dementia. Now we are going to change a little bit for people with dementia, but people with Parkinson's also are going to have dementia. Is something that people from Australia published a paper some years ago, that people with Parkinson's, after is probably inevitable, are going to have dementia. And this is something that I am interested in, is cognition, is brain health, and then we decided to build this umbrella review coordinated by my PhD student Raquel. She's leading this process with Magda, and with Darley, another master student, my master student. And we finished this umbrella review, but we are still struggling a little bit with publication. Again, it's not easy to pay the fee of the journal, or to have a specific journal interested in publishing dance. Is not like a lot of journals about dance, and journals about health, sometimes they are not interested in publishing dance, and a lot of things that we are dealing in this process. But what we found, it was dance. It's evidence that dance can be effective to improve cognitive aspects in people with dementia. We found this evidence that in the umbrella, that dance is effective to improve cognition, and especially executive function, memory, some domains of the cognition. And we found this really nice result. Unfortunately, when we evaluate the quality of the studies, we found some studies that have low quality. But we really believe that the reason that they have low quality sometimes is because the way that they are evaluated, the questionnaire, it's connected with an area that is the health area. And for example, they are not double-blinded, because double-blinded is not possible to blind the intervention. How I'm going to say to you, you're going to do running, then you are dancing, people are going to know. And the other point that we struggle a little bit is most of the studies didn't have funding. And this is one of the points that the questionnaire is asking: have funding? No. And then the low quality. And the other point that we found is most of the studies are in the global north. Most of the population of the studies are from the global north. One of the things that we said, we need to have more studies in the global south with people with dementia, dance and dementia. We did not have studies developing in the global south with African population, with Latin America, low middle income countries. Just the results are related to countries like most of them in China, or developed in China, but not with Chinese population, but populations in the global north. Yeah, and then we decided maybe to, as I said, continue collaborating and doing more and more research, and trying to ask for more funding, advocate, and call a call to action. One of my last talks in an event in Chile this year in February, I finished my talk saying that we need to do a call to action. And the call to action is like, call researchers, they need to work more with dance, public policies, more funding, communities, more community projects, because to do the research, we need more people involved. We need more community projects. We need to connect more the academia with the community centers, and artists like us. We are the key of this, because we are the ones that going to offer the community projects. We are going to be the ones that we need to develop research in this area, because who is going to talk about dance? Dancers. Non-dancers are not going to talk about dance, because people we need more people that are researchers, dancers like us. We are dancers, researchers, community leaders. But again, we need more people, maybe people that are doing a degree in dance or dance, because people in the dance field, most of them would like to choreograph, dance, perform, and we need to develop more this area globally, not only in the south, global south, but also in the global north. I think you were doing well, talking about dance for Parkinson's. A lot of people in the UK working in dance for Parkinson's, in the United States, Canada. But in my country, I can put like in one hand the number of people that are, and it's a continental country. It's a huge country.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is our work. Hopefully, we are going to publish soon,
Yeah.
and it's going to be open to researchers and I don't know, other people to read it.
I think it'll inspire. I love your call to action. I'm glad that you call it that. And I think it's absolutely imperative. You're right. Who else is going to speak about dance if not dancers? And I think also, as you're speaking about that, you're already thinking about that connection with community, right? We can't, same as we as dancers want to be speaking about dance, these people who are participating with us, they're the experts, right? So I think those of us who have worked in the community, like you've dedicated your life working in community. I think we also have developed a skill set of building relationships in a trust based way, in a way that honors dignity and respects communities and the knowledge that they bring. So I think we have a long road ahead, but you are definitely one of the people who is pulling and lifting people up as you yourself excel in the field. And I hope that this umbrella review is published, and that, but I also know that regardless of what happens, that you are going to be a champion for more of this work in the global south. And I know that we have a growing community of people who are kind of calling this out. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you're there. I am aware of the fact that it is actually an hour later for you than it is for me. So I'm just going to ask you two more questions. And I think you've sort of mentioned this, but I just want to give you a chance to go a little bit more intentionally on this. So obviously, you're a leader in the dance and health field. You have been for decades. What are your observations and reflections on the way the field is evolving? And what excites you about what you see emerging? And what is your hope for the field moving forward?
Yeah, this is when I read this question, I said, "Oh, this is a hard question." I think I settled. I think the field is growing up. Is growing up. I have a positive sensation about the field, because when I started this 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, when I started to work in this field, it was harder than now. It's World Health Organization published a report in 2019. A lot of countries in the world are doing things about dance for health and social prescribing and cost effectiveness. It's a lot of information now. And in my country, I think, as I said, there's not so much people doing this, but I think it's going to be it's much better now. It's much better now. We still need public policies. We still need to do things. It's a huge country. It's not easy to administrate. It's a lot of inequities in my country. And my hope is, as I said, the call to is like more people involved. It's like more people uh, in the world. We need to believe that non-pharmacological interventions are good for people with Parkinson's. And what I see, what I can, in my city, some neurologists, they know that dance is good for them for Parkinson's. They are recommending movement. They are saying, okay, move, dance. And maybe this is related to our final question, and I'm not going to say now, but I think my hope is more and more and more people involved, more and more community projects, more and more public policies, more and more money. Um, And maybe it's going to be in the future, people are going to value more this. But we still live in a world that it's a lot of power involved, it's a lot of money involved, and again, the pharmacological area is really strong. It's a lot of money involved. It's a lot of medications and medical perspective, man perspective. It's a lot of things that we need to change. And maybe if we change this, the world is going to be better. And I think it's still, I know that we are a community, and I am happy to be part of a community. We are a global brain health community, and this is my heart. I just feel my heart full of love and energy when I think that I am part of this big community. But I still think that the world is not a community. The world is really individualized world. It's a lot of people doing things alone. And my hope is like doing more things together, and because together we are strong. I am saying this since I have just started to say this, but I really believe on this.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. We, like you said, we cannot do anything alone, and we are definitely better and stronger together. I want to ask you just one more question, and that is there an experience, either one that you yourself experienced or one that you have witnessed, that has helped you feel the magic of dance on health and well being?
Do you mean like an experience that I had, or?
It could be one that you've had yourself or one that you have experienced, like you've witnessed somebody else having.
Okay. I've started working with Parkinson's, dance for Parkinson's 10 years ago. But 3 years ago, my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. I was the one that started to observe him, and because I study, I do research, I read a lot about Parkinson's, and I know the chances to have Parkinson's, and he started to have a lot of motor issues and tremors, and I said, you should go to the, I said to him, you should go to the neurologist. If something is happening with you, probably you were like, with you have Parkinson's. And when he arrived in the neurologist, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He's fine, but the neurologist said to him, you need to do exercise. And he said, my daughter has a project, and the project is about dance. And the neurologist said, okay, let's go and dance with your daughter. And my dad is dancing with me in the project, and as a daughter, I can feel the benefits for the dance project for him. And when he's not dancing, he's not feeling well, and he's participating in the project, he's really happy. My mom passed away, he's living alone, and in my Instagram, we have my dad talking about the importance of the project for him, but it's unfortunately is in Portuguese. During my talks now, what I am doing is like I am bringing my dad with me, and I translated, I put subtitles in English, and he's saying how the project is good for him and how he's feeling much better dancing. And I think this is one of the things that maybe I can share with the audience, that is not only I am not only the dancer, the researcher, the dance teacher, but I am a daughter with a person with a neurological disease. But I've never thought in my life, when I started working with this, that someone in my family, because my grandparents, they did not have Parkinson's, they passed away without dementia, and when without neurological diseases. Only my grandma, one of my grandmothers, she had a stroke when she was 96, like it's part of the aging process, but not something that it was like Parkinson or dementia or something like this. But my dad, because he has diabetes type 2 since he was 40, we know that diabetes type 2 can be related with a kind of Parkinson or dementia. And yeah, and now I have this family situation that, as I said, and I can say to the audience that is good for him as a family member.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about about this, but I'm also grateful that your dad has you as a daughter. And I hope that we can, I don't know if there's a possibility for you to share that video with the subtitles, and maybe we can, if it's possible, we can include it in the show notes so that the audience can see your dad speaking about the power of your program that you've developed. That makes me really emotional. That's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's something that is, as I said, when I started doing research and I work with this, I did not know that someone close to me maybe is gonna need me. This is the point, is like the power of offering this kind of projects. Maybe could be you, could be someone close to you, could be your partner, could be your parents, or I don't know. And because dementia is something really big, and Parkinson's disease is the second most neurodegenerative disease worldwide, we have a lot of probability to just like have someone close to us to develop this condition. And my dad is fine. He's fine. He's still driving. He's not in an advanced you know he's not in an advanced Parkinson's, but I don't know, like for now, when he's in holidays, like at the beach for 2 months, it just got worse, considering the freezing and the legs and everything, the falls. And but when he's dancing, he's feeling much better. He's always there, twice a week. He never. It's not now. We have cold in the south of Brazil. Now is winter for us. It's gonna start the winter, but he's always there. And the reason that I like to dance, I can say, is because my family, my dad's family, has a lot of connections with dance. My grandfather was an amazing dancer. My dad loves parties and love dancing, and I think it's part of my blood and my family. And he likes to dance. He likes to go there.
Oh, that's spectacular. And I'm so glad that you get to share it. And now you can tell him, don't go on vacation. If you go on vacation, you have to make sure you dance too. You have
Yeah,
to figure out a mobile way of doing your program.
yeah.
Well, Aline, I just thank you so much again for joining me in this conversation. But most importantly, thank you for all that you do and for a lifetime of dedicating yourself to this cause and really helping to put it on the map and move it in very important directions. Yeah, I just wanted to know if there's anything else that you wanted to share before the close for this conversation, at least.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. It's a pleasure to share my journey with other people. And I hope to help people to be interested in this area and work more with this area. And the reason that I'm going to keep going now is not only because of me, but it's because of my dad. It's because of my family. It's because like I have much more reasons now to keep doing. And I'm just gonna continue doing things. I don't know.
Well, we'll continue dancing, and we can all rest assured that Aline and her phenomenal vision for this field is going to keep on moving. Thank you again, Aline, for joining us for this episode of Dancing into Brain Health. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you.
This episode of Dancing into Brain Health was edited and produced by me, Magda Kaczmarska, and Hilary Brown Estrefi. The music for this show is the title cut from the album Critical Path by Joe Venegoni and Carl Weingarten. Show notes, links, and resources from today's episode can be found on the Dancing into Brain Health page on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.